What it do, everybody? It's your boy LOG from Where There's Smoke. Hold on. Gonna go live today and talk about the Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson interview. It's almost, I think it's about 10 or 11 days old, so it almost got to the 2 week mark. It's a little old. I wanted to kind of get on that a little sooner, but shit happens. And I did the Mexican OT. Uh, everyone jumping on him for using the N word, and Sauce Walker's response to that. I did that 3 or 4 days ago, maybe 5 days ago. That got a really good response. That was a really good video, a hit most people seem to enjoy. So if y'all haven't seen that, go check that out. I'm sure everyone's probably that cares about that's probably pretty up to date on it. But anyway, I feel like this Tucker and Ted thing is a real big thing that happened in the political world lately. And that's something I'd love to cover here and kind of give my opinion and dissect things and point out inconsistencies, and the hypocrisy is off the charts. And just give my dialogue on it and stuff. So I'm gonna, as always, check the video, check the audio on the different sites, YouTube, Rumble, Kick. I went ahead and turned up the videos that I preview, like, to me, what is not my mic volume, but is what, like, the videos that I review and shit, the desktop audio for me on this end. I went ahead and turned that up a little bit, so because I noticed it was a little quiet. So hopefully that'll be better for y'all this time. And but yeah, let me check the audio and video. Give me about a minute, and then we'll kind of get into it. So let me check that out real quick. Get out of here. I would up a little bit, so because I noticed it was a little quiet. So almost, I think it's about 10 or 11 days old, so it almost got to the 2 week mark. It's a little old. Kick check. Kick check. All right, cool. Kick check. All right, cool. Kick check. All right, cool. Kick check. This. All right, everything looks good. Let's go ahead and get into it. I have the speed up turned up to 1 1/4, so that this 2 hour interview will hopefully only be about an hour and a half. Hopefully, I have the video labeled as part one, just in case it gets long winded and I have to break this into two different streams. But we might be able to tackle this all in one video. We'll just kind of play it by ear. But yeah, I have the speed turned up, so hopefully we can get through it faster. If it's a little too fast, I'll turn it down. But let's just see how it goes.
Senator, thank you very much for spending the time to have this
conversation. Let me change over the audio real quick. Give me a second.
Regime change in Iran, as distinct just from taking out the nuclear sites. What does regime change look like in Iran?
Somebody else in charge.
All right, I'm going to have to turn it down. That's a little... If they get a little long-winded, we'll turn it back up. Let's try 115.
How do you get there?
Look, that ultimately has to be a popular uprising from the people. And it's not a complicated question. Is America better off with a country that has a leader who hates us and wants to kill us, or to have a country with a leader who likes us and wants to be friends with us?
And definitely the latter's better.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so that's not a complicated statement. Look, I believe you look across the world when you have countries that have dictators that are viciously anti-America. Venezuela, Maduro hates us. Would we be better off with Maduro out of power? Absolutely. I want our enemies out of power, and I want our friends in power.
I could not agree more. The question is, how do you get there?
Of course.
And we've been trying to kill Maduro for quite some time. We have troops.
Hold on. Somebody hit my line. I got to respond real quick. All right, so already real quick, they're talking about regime change, and of course we would like to have world leaders that don't want to kill or hate and kill us, but that's like if someone else in another part of the world is like, yeah, the United States hates us and they're always fucking with us. Like, how are we going to get rid of their leader? It's like, it gets in a real gray area of like, just because we don't like someone, who are we to say that they should be out of power? And it's one thing to like put sanctions on them and kind of do that thing if we don't really support what they're doing and kind of they're, they're evil as we see it, or they don't give their people rights, and we want to put sanctions on them or tariffs or whatever, tariffs. But for us to like try to create an uprising, which they're going to talk about, or even potentially kill their leaders or stuff, that's where it's like we feel like it's okay for us to do that sometimes. But if anyone ever did that to us, we would not be fucking with it. So, I don't know, it's just like we almost think like we're more important and more justified to do these crazy things than other people, and that's kind of a flawed concept for sure.
There, as you
I
know.
don't know that we've been trying to kill Maduro.
We have, and I think you know that. And
I think you know that.
Don't know that.
okay, well, as a statement of fact, we have. So
we do have massive sanctions. We tried to pressure him out of office.
yeah, and there's
I'm
all
not,
kinds
not
of
aware
stuff.
of.
I'm just saying there's a lot of pressure coming from various parts of the U.S. government on that government, and it's still there.
Yeah.
Same, the country of our ancestors, Cuba. 1959. We've been working on that. Hasn't worked. So it's. I think we both agree it's hard to do.
It absolutely is hard. And look, I think you're reasonable to ask, how do we produce that? And I think there's a distinction between what your objective is and the means to get it. There are all sorts of things I would say we would be better off. We'd be better off in China without Xi there. Should we invade China and topple Xi? Of course not.
Better off with no national debt.
There are lots of things.
Totally.
But it's good to say, all right, what are our objectives?
Right.
And so with the Ayatollah in Iran, saying you're for regime change, I don't view as complicated. I mean, the guy literally leads mobs chanting death to America. So that's not good.
Definitely not good. But the reason I think it's important to get a little more detailed about how that might happen is because there's military action in progress, which we're supporting. And the president has said clearly, including last night, that he is focused on eliminating the capacity of the Iranian government to produce nuclear weapons. You are saying we need to use military force to affect regime change.
I have not said that.
Oh, I must have.
No, I have not said that once. Okay. I don't think we need to use military force to do regime change. I said I support it. I would like to see it happen. You asked me how should it happen? A popular uprising. What I've advocated for.
It's time for there used to be a conspiracy channel that was pretty unhinged called "It's a Call for an Uprising." It's like, okay, so you don't want to take out fucking mic cords. Oh, shit. Hold on. Yeah, so it's like even causing an uprising. If we found out that some of the protests, especially ones that have turned more violent, were influenced and heavily started or ignited by foreign countries where they sent in quote unquote sleeper cells, like we think they may have recently, and they're agitators at the protest, we would be fucking pissed about that. So it's like, how can we even say we want a popular uprising in a country to go on if we're for that? It starts to lead like, well, what would we do to set that in motion? And is that like a good thing? It's like all these things, like I'm using this word loosely, but all these liberties we take to do stuff in other countries where if they did it to us, we would be pissed and take it as like an act of war. But we think it's okay for us to just do it. So very interesting.
All right, let's step back a second. You and I, we've known each other a long time. I would say we agree on about 80% of the things on Earth.
For sure.
And there are a lot of things, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of foreign policy as much as you want. There are a lot of things on which you...
Remember that Ted proposed that they agree on about 80% of things violently, and Tucker agreed.
And I agreed, not just a little bit, but violently.
Oh, that's where he said
I
it.
totally agree.
I've seen the first like 30 to 45 minutes of this already, so some of the stuff I already have seen, but anyway.
For in your last campaign, for sure.
Well, thank you. Look, you have been heroic on...
I was rooting for you in your last campaign. Does anyone take that serious Tucker face seriously anymore?
On the border, you've been one of the clearest and best voices in the whole country on securing the border and on the absolute crisis we're facing. And in Texas, I see it and live it every day. In COVID,
I see it and live it every day. Yeah, you're down here in the trenches with us. Come on, bro. I mean, and by the way, he's about to bring up during COVID, he loved how Tucker was, pointing out the inconsistencies and stuff. But during COVID, and I can pull up the video here in a minute. I don't know if anyone really cares to see it or remembers this, but when it was really getting thick in the thick of COVID, and when it was really all the lockdowns were at their heaviest, Ted Cruz fled to another country. I think it was either Mexico or Cancun or something, which Cancun is in Mexico, I believe. I feel like I should know that. Anyway, he fled to a foreign country to like have some fun in the sun. He didn't stay here and like endure the lockdowns like we all did. He fucking went somewhere else where he didn't have to deal with it. I feel so stupid. I'm gonna look that up. I'm like 90% sure. Yeah, it's in Mexico. Okay. Yeah, he fled to Mexico, Cancun specifically, and it's not like he stuck it out here and was like, he's not a man of the people, basically, what I'm getting at.
In fact, you may recall in the middle of the COVID lockdown, I was out walking my dog when the whole world was shut down and we were living in lunatic times. And I called you and said, Tucker, your nightly monologues are the single best thing on television. Like I watch them like an injection of crack. Okay, I'm mixing my metaphor because you don't inject crack, but you get what I'm saying.
Try.
No, I mean, you were standing up and speaking like, what the hell are we doing, in a way that we desperately
That is a big reason why I started this channel, because I wish I would have had this channel during COVID, so I could have been pointing out all the inconsistencies and all the crap during COVID and all the bullshit. I don't watch Tucker, so I don't remember how well he was doing that during COVID, but that's like probably the number one reason I started this channel, because if something like that ever happens again, I want to be able to have a voice. But YouTube was limiting the hell out of what you could say even after COVID, but I wanted to have a voice and be able to say, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, this is bullshit, and be able to have people that are viewers give their opinion and have a dialogue here and just, have a conversation that I feel like wasn't being had many places, if at all.
And so whether it's securing the border, whether it's the insanity of COVID lockdowns and the vaccine mandates, whether it is the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, you and I agree on a ton of stuff. The 20% where we disagree, I do.
I wonder if Ted Cruz got the vaccine. He's saying it was insane, but it's like, come on, brother. Were you thinking that at the time, or were you saying that at the time? Let's see. I know Trump got it, so you can just tuck that feather in your hat. Let me see. I'm not seeing anything on it. Let me do one more search and then we'll get back to it. I just want to know. Let's see. Ooh, yes. Ted Cruz received a COVID-19 vaccine in April 2021. He explicitly stated that he would stop wearing a mask in the state chamber now that he was vaccinated. So he bought into the COVID bullshit. He's claiming like, now, it was crazy, and thank you, Tucker, for calling it out. It's like, dude, you were a schmuck. You fell right in line. I don't remember any politician speaking out in the beginning about how crooked the lockdowns were, how bullshit the vaccine mandates, and how the push, really just the peer pressure to get the vaccine was. I don't remember him speaking out against any of that. And as I mentioned earlier, he fled to Cancun and got away from all our strict lockdowns. So it's not like he was down here in the trenches enduring it with us. And it's just like bullshit. It's a revisionist history. And, he definitely wasn't standing up for the people and telling us the truth. Or he wasn't like, even though most people were quote unquote fooled during that time or pressured into, it's not like he saw the truth at the time. He was fooled or coaxed into saying the wrong thing at the time. So the fact that he's acting like he knew that COVID, he was on the wrong side of the COVID jig. Let's just put it that way.
I do think is meaningful, and it's mostly in the foreign policy space. And what I would say, if you'll allow me to get a little theoretical, and then I'm happy to get specific.
Yes.
For a long time, people had perceived two different poles of Republican foreign policy. There have been interventionists, and those have been people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham and George W. Bush. And there have been isolationists. And the most prominent of those have been Ron Paul and Rand Paul, and there are others. And people perceive those are the two choices. You got to be one or the other. I've always thought both were wrong. I don't agree with either one. The way I view my own foreign policy.
I'm with you, by the way, for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay, good.
I don't know who set up that binary, but there are lots of choices, actually.
I mean, people sort of naturally fall into, I think they want to classify people, and they're like, okay, you're one or the other, and you got to be all or nothing. And the interventionists, it seems, have never seen a country they didn't want to invade, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And the isolationists, I think, don't take the threats to America seriously, and I think that's naive, and it doesn't work. And so my view, I consider myself a third point on the triangle.
A third point on the triangle? I could maybe do a breakdown on that at some point, but if you're into the conspiracy / truther, if you've done some research into that stuff, you know that the triangle is a long, I mean, it's on the back of the dollar bill, for goodness sakes. It's been a long it's part of deeper stuff. It's, the whole Illuminati thing of the secret societies, the triangle is important to them for whatever reason, the pyramid. So there's a deeper meaning to that. And I don't even know what all they entail, but I know that that's a big symbol for them. Symbolism is huge for the occult. So I don't know exactly what all it symbolizes, but I know that's a big thing for him. So it's funny for him to use that analogy there.
And what I describe that as is that I am a non-interventionist hawk, which sounds a little weird, but what do I mean by that?
You're a fool.
I mean the central touch point for U.S. foreign policy and for any question of military intervention should be the vital national security interest of the United States. How does this make America safer? How does this protect Americans? If it does, we should be strong. And actually, another way of conceiving what I'm saying, I'm speaking theoretically, but Reagan referred to it as peace through strength. And actually, I think Donald Trump's foreign policy is very much what I'm describing, a non-interventionist hawk, where he understands that, and I think this is historically true, the best way to avoid war is being strong. That weakness and isolationism, I think, encourages war. So going back to regime change, where you started in Iran.
Just to make, I don't think I disagree with anything you've said, so we may not be that far apart, really, because you said that the single criterion for making decisions about America's foreign policy is America's national interest.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, which is also...
Okay, so he said the single thing about us of foreign policy is our interest first. Let's remember that for the rest of the interview and see if that stays congruent or if that's just something that sounds good right now.
America first. That's another way of putting that as well.
I think it's the definition of it.
Yeah.
It's hardly breaking news. The U.S. dollar has been gravely devalued by
Oh, it's a fucking ad. Great.
Washington money printing. You print money out of thin air and the currency becomes weaker. You can purchase less with the same amount. The entire system is backed by nothing but the government's word. What is that worth? People around the world are beginning to ask. So one of the results of this is that a lot of people want to invest in crypto.
Crypto, that's the answer. That's not going to fuck us in the ass in a couple years. No chance of that happening.
Many don't know where to start. That's where I Trust Capital comes in. Their platform makes the crypto game smarter, easier, safer.
Really, Tucker, you trust capital? You trust I Trust Capital? Oh, man, why didn't you just say that sooner?
And you can understand it. With I Trust Capital, you buy and sell crypto inside a tax-advantaged IRA. That means the same long-term tax benefits of a retirement account.
What a total tool.
Paired with the freedom to invest in digital assets. They also offer secure non-retirement accounts, use an airtight security system, and have real human beings, experts on call if you ever need them. You just
Real
call up
humans?
and you can talk to them
Why didn't you just say so?
in person. Creating an account is very simple. It takes just a few minutes. Click the link below or visit itrustcapital.com to start today.
The question is, are we watching that now?
So I think we are. And from what you've said publicly, I think on Iran in particular, you and I disagree. And all right, let me contrast it when Obama was president. When Obama was president, you remember he talked about wanting to have military action against Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I tried to keep an open mind to it. I said, okay, let me listen to the commander-in-chief, describe to me how this is in America's interest and what your plan is. And Bashar Assad was a bad guy. He was killing his own citizens, and he had chemical weapons that were very dangerous. I could conceive of a commander-in-chief laying out a plan for, okay, we're going to go in and say, grab the chemical weapons and leave. Like, I could see that if there was a real threat to America and there was a plan to prevent that, I could see supporting that. So I wanted to hear what he had to say. And I listened both in classified briefings and public questioning. And number one, their public defense of it was incoherent. So John Kerry said, we're going to engage in an unbelievably small strike. I think that's a quote. I'm like, okay, and to do what? At the time, there were 9 major rebel Islamic groups in Syria. I'm like, okay, I agree, Bashar Assad's a bad guy. You topple him. And one of the 9 other groups takes...
See how he talks about that so nonchalantly? Okay, we don't like these people over here in Syria, topple one. It's like, what if people talked about America that way? The Republicans and Democrats, we don't really like the Republicans, let's just topple that party. We'd be like, whoa, like if another country thinks they're going to do that, that's like that'd be like an act of war, basically.
Over 7 of them were affiliated with radical Islamic terrorism. You had Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra. I'm like, wait, how is it better to have lunatics who hate us in charge? Assad's a bad guy, but I don't want worse guys in charge. Obama administration couldn't give an answer to that. And ultimately, when you press them, John Kerry in particular, I pressed, and he would say, well, we need to defend international norms. Like, what the hell's an international norm? I don't know what it is, but I'm not interested in putting U.S. servicemen and women in harm's way to defend one.
Amen.
So I opposed the Syria tech and opposed it vocally. And it was interesting. Rand and I agreed. Rand's a friend of mine, but we agreed with that position for different reasons. What I was asking is I think the question we should ask, how does this make America safer? The Obama administration couldn't give me an answer, so I opposed it. I think Iran is very different.
Let me ask what you think of how Syria wound up, because Bashar al-Assad now lives in Moscow.
Yeah.
He was taken out by our allies, and he's been replaced by a radical Islamist who was affiliated with ISIS. So is that a win or no?
Unclear. Look, Syria's a mess, so I've consistently opposed.
But we had a secular leader in a religious and ethnically diverse country. Now we have a religious extremist, Islamic religious extremist, who's overseen the purge of Christians and Alawites. Is that better? That doesn't seem like a win.
One of the things you said is you said he was taken out by our allies. I don't think that's right. Israel didn't take Assad out. What happened, and I'll tell you.
What about Turkey?
Turkey didn't take him out. So it was interesting. I had a long
How did Assad get kicked out? Yeah.
When Netanyahu was in D.C. a couple of months ago, he and I sat down for a couple of hours. He's a good friend of mine. And we talked actually about Syria. He made an interesting point that I've not heard anywhere else, in that he said he believes what toppled Assad was when Israel took out Nasrallah. Nasrallah was the head of Hezbollah. They took him out. And he made an interesting point. He said it's fascinating how a charismatic leader, and Bibi said, look, Nasrallah was a very effective terrorist leader. And when they took him out, that power base was supporting Assad. And that ultimately, in Bibi's analysis, removed the support from Assad and toppled him. But they weren't trying to take out Assad. My view now, I don't know.
So you don't think that, and I don't, it is very confusing, and I don't know that anyone really knows all the details, but you don't think that Israel or Turkey or NATO ally Turkey played any role in toppling Assad?
I don't know. I don't know that they did. Look, my understanding of that, they clearly took out...
Come on, how can... You don't know?
Nasrallah and Hezbollah, they've decimated Hezbollah, but Hezbollah was waging war on them. So decimating Hezbollah was very good for Israel and very good for America, too. I mean, Hezbollah hated us.
Bro. All right, everybody. YouTube's down. Hold on. Sorry, Kick. Sorry, Rumble. YouTube got shut down. I'm going to throw the link for the people over there. Let's see. Y'all coming over to Rumble or Kick? I'm putting the, I guess YouTube people can't hear me, but give me a second, people that are on Kick or Rumble. I'm putting the link in the YouTube stream so they can come on over. Apparently YouTube and Tucker Carlson are being cucks. Yeah, hold on. Give me a second. So what I'm going to do is, give me a second. So what I'll do, I guess for the people on Rumble or Kick, it doesn't matter because y'all are going to be viewing it right now. But I will download the live stream from Rumble and then I'll post it to YouTube later. Sorry, YouTube. You're going to have to come on over to Rumble or Kick. All right, that's lame. Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, let's continue on Rumble. So let me pull the video back up for y'all. Okay. So let's Let me hold on. Give me one more second. I'll just leave the stream up. That way, if people find it, they can still come over. But so the YouTube stream will be up, but it won't be able to be viewed. You'll have to come over to Rumble or Kick. Oh, they posted it back, but I feel like they're gonna take it down if I continue to try to go on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube and you can hear me right now, you're gonna have to come over to Kick or Rumble. I'll leave the stream up so people can still find it, but yeah, I'm not gonna be able to play the video over there. Let me just try to leave my camera up and. Oh no, that's gonna hurt the people on Rumble and Kick. Damn. I'm gonna have to end the YouTube. You know, I'll let it go and see if it stays up, but I doubt it will. All right, let's continue. But people on YouTube, go over to Rumble and Kick because soon they're gonna kick me off of YouTube, and you'll only be able to watch this on Rumble or Kick until I do the re-upload, maybe tomorrow or something. So anyway, let's continue.
I would put Assad in the category of an unintended consequence, and whether it's good or bad, I don't know. I think time will tell.
For the United States.
Yeah, for the United States. I think time will tell the new leadership there. You're right to be concerned. Let me step back and let's talk regime change generally. I mentioned Syria. I also oppose the Iraq War. I think the Iraq War was a serious mistake. And we have a pattern, and going back to this binary of the intervention.
That's a big thing for you to say the Iraq War was a mistake. I mean, not for the everyday person, but for a politician to actually say that, it's like, think about the money. And not only that, that might be a big eye popper for somebody, but think about all the innocent life that was lost. Think about all the army people that we sent over there and people that died or became wounded and their lives are never the same, or they saw a friend die over there or a family member died over there. Like, you just say that was a mistake. We should have never done that. Well, that war waged on for years. We spent all this money. We lost all this life. People's lives were changed forever. And for you to say, well, that was a mistake, which I agree, but it's like, damn, like we really, really, really need to be sure before we go to war somewhere, because we're messing with people's lives.
And the isolationists. The interventionists.
YouTube, can you hear me? No, you can't. Oh well.
Advocate over and over again. There's a bad guy.